Such a pity. We had a Tim Southee hat-trick. We almost had a Deepak Hooda hat-trick, just for fun. Yeah, I know we've forgotten about Sky for the moment. He's the one who set up the entire game, but so many different little subplots happen in a game that India managing to finish it off a little quicker than expected. 7 balls to spare and a margin of victory being 65 runs. 126 all out. Kane Williamson 61 of 52. That doesn't quite tell the story of how that innings went. Devon Conway up front was the only one who showed a little bit of intent, but wickets falling at regular intervals. And towards the end, once it was all over, Huda had a bit of fun picking up his 4 for 10 in 2.5 overs. But really, overall, the difference was just one man, Surya Kumar Yadav. His innings making the difference, getting India to a total and keeping the record intact at the Bay Oval. No team has ever chased successfully there. New Zealand didn't even come close. Here on Cricbuzz Live, just to wrap things up, joined by Dinesh Karthik and Parthiv Patel. Quick finish.
Yeah,
what we were looking for.
Yeah, absolutely. There's something. I think that is something which we were expecting. Not this kind of an inning. I thought when ball swings, Bhuvneshwar Kumar and Arshdeep Singh becomes very very important bowlers and they know how to exploit those conditions when it is swinging. But yeah, I think India would have not thought that this would finish that early. But you got to give credit to bowlers because when one side scored 191. Yeah, when it was because of the brilliance of Surya Kumar Yadav, but still, I think this is like a innings victory if you want to put it in context. There were 4-day games. Winning by 65 runs is huge margin.
Just putting it in perspective, Surya Kumar Yadav strike rate 200. The rest of the Indian batting strike rate of about 104, 105, 100 actually, and New Zealand strike rate 104. How does that put everything into perspective?
Pretty much sums up where Surya Kumar is in the ladder, so to say. I think among just his peers in world cricket right now, he's right at the top. He's batting at the peak of his prowess, and it's just, as I said, a joy to watch him bat, just toying around with bowlers, toying around with the captain, making it look much easier than what he's actually doing. What he's doing is really special. To have the ability to hit on both sides of the wicket and use the pace consistently is not an easy task, and for him, it comes to him very naturally, but still having the mental aptitude to go through those initial balls and then get going and then absolutely have a blast at the end. I think like Virat Kohli rightly put it in the tweet, it's a bit like a video game, and you can just see why he's so special.
Yeah, I mean it's not often that we immediately start talking about a batting performance when a team has batted first and the bowlers have actually been responsible for getting the opposition out 65 runs short. Such was his impact. But we need to at least refer to the bowling and look at the reasons why Hardik Pandya, even without bowling a ball himself, managed to rotate his bowlers, used a 6th bowler in Deepak Hooda, who if Hardik had bowled would have been a 7th bowler, picked up those wickets, which to be fair would be bonus wickets, but overall the bowling attack did their job.
I think, of course, they did. As I said earlier, when ball is swinging, Bhuvneshwar Kumar is, he knows how to exploit those conditions, and you can see the numbers. Just 12 runs in first 3 overs. I thought Hardik was brilliant with his captaincy and bowling changes as well. He bowled only 1 over to Arshdeep initially, and if at all game goes closer, he wanted to have that bank of Arshdeep's 3 overs after 10 overs, and he brought in Deepak Hooda at the right time. Usually, that's something which Joss Butler did successfully with Stokes throughout that World Cup. Usually you bring in your 6th bowler or a 7th bowler option when either a wicket has fallen or after a drinks break, and he brought him at the 11 over, and obviously those last, you don't look into those 4 wickets, but the way he has used all the bowlers, it was very good to see. And obviously he has that confidence of rotating those bowlers when he was playing for Gujarat in IPL. So yeah, I think credit to Hardik, and obviously when you have a luxury of 7 bowlers, you can take those chances. I think that's something India was missing all this while. But so yeah, good to have bowlers, and using them is at the right point of time was key today.
And up front, when we saw with Bhuvneshwar Kumar, he might have been at least mentally not at his highest after that semi-final, which was such a convincing victory for England. Came to New Zealand. Many felt he was someone who would have put his hand up to say, I'd like to go, I'd like to play. And he's come and played the first game. And obviously he's showed that that performance is, anything like that can be behind him very quickly.
Bhuvi is a terrific bowler when the ball swings because he's got the natural ability to swing it both ways and immense control in doing that. Very few in world cricket have it. I can think of James Anderson straight away. But Bhuvi has that control of the white ball where he's able to swing it both ways. And if the conditions assist swing and this wicket also assisted a bit of seam, then he literally becomes unplayable at the start. I mean, his 3 overs basically set up the win. Yes, Surya Kumar did it with the bat, and obviously, probably with the way he bats, he probably gave us 25 plus par, which doesn't happen always. But the way Bhuvi starts, if there's a bit of swing, then he will make sure that we win the power play. And more often than not, when you have a tall score and you win the power play, the game is 75% in your hands. You have to do something really wrong after that for them to get past the line.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes you don't look at a whole lot of wickets in a column. I mean, you see it a year down the line and you'll be like, wow, it was Deepak Huda's game with the ball. It really wasn't, despite, I mean, not taking away any credit from him. Good time that he came on. But Bhuvi's 3 overs, as Dinesh Karthik rightly put, really set things up. But another man who was waiting to get it and a key wicket at a key time was Yuzvendra Chahal. You called it early and it looked like he was waiting to get ball in hand.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, the kind of season he was going through, obviously, he would be slightly disappointed that he didn't get a game in World Cup. But so he was probably trying to look forward to it. That's the only thing which he can do as a player. He has not done anything wrong. So whenever you get that opportunity, you try and make most of it. And that's what Yuzvendra Chahal has been doing it for years, not just for India, for RCB as well on that very difficult ground. Here, I think those crucial overs which he bowls. Sometimes, as DK mentioned, power play is very important. But to get wickets in middle over is also very crucial, because more often than not, you will be bowling to a set batter there. And so if you're bowling to a set batter, the only way you can not give runs is by getting him out. And that's what Yuzvendra Chahal is. He's been, he's a leg spinner, but he's an attacking leg spinner. He's not afraid of giving it flight. We saw it when Phillips was going 12 of 6 balls, but he did still bowl that slow ball and forced him to play across the line. So, and we all know how good a bowler he is. And again, he showed today as well that he's right up there with any leg spinner in the world.
Yeah, and that key wicket. I mean, we were on Cricbuzz Combox discussing that if New Zealand were to have a chance, they need a similar Surya kind of innings from Glenn Phillips. And just 2 balls later, it was Chahal who got rid of him. How key a wicket was that?
I know you were having lunch at that point and you really badly wanted a wicket at that stage. And more than any of us, I think he obliged you and gave you that couple of minutes breather. But what was nice about the way he bowled today was the speeds at which he bowled. And also the fact that he was varying his line. It was not just outside the off stump, but he got into the body a bit. Even that same over that he got Glenn Phillips out, he bowled a first ball which got hit for a 6, but then changed his pace a little in the second ball. And the third ball, he tossed it up a little bit, but kept it on the stumps. So as a batter, you have to at times second guess yourself. If you feel you've got a 6 of the first ball, it puts a lot of pressure on the bowler, but he still stuck to his ground, made sure he varied his speeds, but kept it on the stump, which was very critical. And then he got the wicket of Glenn Phillips, which is what all of us hoped. And once you got Glenn Phillips, you got the feeling that the game was pretty much done and dusted there. It was a critical wicket. Even when we came back on the 4th over that he bowled, you knew that the Nisham was going to take him on, but to bowl the speed at which he did, first ball, made him defend, but then go for the faster on the second ball and made him play a bad shot. So I like the speed with which he bowled, way varied. That is the strength of Chahal, the ability not to turn the ball big, but to use the angles well and both sides of the wicket in many ways, and he did that really well.
Yeah, it almost seems as if the chess player in him came out right there, and he wasn't getting carried away by the fact that, okay, I haven't played for a while, I've got this opportunity, let me try too many things.
I think he has experience enough to not to try too many things, not to get carried away with the things that, oh, I didn't get a place in World Cup, but now I have to show people that I'm still good enough. And everyone knows, I'm sure he also knows that he is good enough bowler, but just the combination which India wanted to play, that is the reason why he could not get a place. But here, as DK rightly mentioned, having kept wickets to Yuzi Chahal, that's his strength. Using the speed, using the angle. We've seen him so many times getting a lot of wickets bowling outside the off-stump batsman, getting caught at cover. But now with that, he has evolved, and now he's getting a lot of wickets as LBWs and bowled. Every time he starts bowling from the stump, I think he's a completely different bowler. So whenever he's bowling well, whenever he's confident, his speed actually slows down a bit. So that's his strength, and that is the reason why he could get those wickets. He could set up batsmen and get them out. So in a T20 format, you don't have that many balls, but you can still set up a batsman by bowling a couple of googlies or vary your speed, and that's exactly what he has been doing for years.
If a bowler doesn't have, neither does a batsman have enough deliveries to settle into a big innings in T20 cricket. We saw the difference between Steve Smith, the T20 player, and Steve Smith, the ODI player, a couple of days ago. And I think with Kane Williamson, we're starting to find that out. 3 matches in a row, DK, in the World Cup, he had a strike rate of 100, 100, 100. The next game, he got going after 15 balls. Today, again, for the longest time, he was 40 of 40, and at the end, 61 of 52.
Yes, I think, looking at the New Zealand team, they want that kind of player. But when Devon Conway and Williamson to bat together, then that is a phase where they're not able to push the run rate. If the wicket is really flat, they still end up playing a few shots. But if it has a little bit, they wait many ways for the bad ball to come. And these days, the bowlers are so clever, they're so good. They don't give you those bad balls so easily. So you have to make them bowl one, which in turn, you have to show intent as a batter. You have to move around the crease, or you have to make it a little harder for the bowler. And that's one area that I think Williamson will be definitely looking at, because you're chasing a tall score and you get out of the power play literally at run a ball, that puts a lot of pressure on the middle order as well.
The one shot he did play when he got a 6, the first reaction was, if he can play shots like that, and we know he can, he's a class act, why can he not sort of mentally gear himself up to be doing it earlier in the innings?
I think it's all about intent. I think DK has rightly put it there. If you have an intent, if you're trying to show the bowler that I'm coming at you, that's when you force bowler to make mistake. That's when you force bowler to bowl to your strength. The prime example was today, though Indian openers didn't get a flying start, but they were still trying to hit. That is the reason why when Ishan Kishan got that boundary to third man, that is usually you see Team Saudi having a slip in third over of his spell, but he felt that Indian openers are trying to hit. That is where they took the slip out and they could not attack. So I think that's,
and that boundary would have gone straight
to the slip. Yeah, so that's something which is very important. You got to show that intent. Maybe he's probably taking more balls than he could think that if I play 10 or 12 balls, I can still go and hit. It's all about, it's not about ability. It's about trying to hit the ball, and that's this game is all about mental battle. You have to put pressure on bowlers to make mistake.
And when you're not getting help from the other end, I mean, there are times when if it's say a 140, 150 type run chase, and you've got a Glenn Phillips exploding at one end, or the openers are giving you a start, it covers up for it. Today there was no place to hide for Williamson. They went through a 33 ball boundary drought.
So let's get down to the root of it. What is the issue? I think if the ball swings like it did, and it seems, then obviously a batter like Williamson is very strong with his defensive technique. So his first mode of, in many ways, his first way of reacting is to play the ball safely. So that would in turn cut away a lot of the shots, because then he's looking to play late. He doesn't want to give away his wicket. So he's literally looking to tap the ball to third man, or just if anything is on the legs, he'll flick it. But he's not going to step out and go over 1 over cover or move away and get 1 over point. That's not his natural strength, so to say. So that's what happens. Whereas if the wicket is really flat, you'll see him playing a few more shots. But if the conditions assisted the bowlers, which like it did today, then you would see Williamson struggling a bit in the power play, because then his shot making is more suited to very conventional stroke play, like the normal cover drive and the flick. It is not one which is more explosive in nature, like the T20 players who open the inning. Like if you see a Finn Allen batting through that phase, he would bat it very differently. And that's why Finn Allen is a dangerous player up front, because irrespective of the conditions, he can take on the attack and make it look far easier than what it actually is.
Yeah, if you see the innings progression, you'll see that boundary drought I was mentioning, in the 10th over was when Glenn Phillips got the 6, then got out. And then in the entire phase between 11 and 15, they scored at 5.4. And as you can see, 9.75 was not the worst, 7 to 10. They were all right. But then that's when they lost it.
I think if you look at the 10 over mark of both the sides, it looks like both the teams were going neck to neck. But it was about the way India was going about their business and how New Zealand was going about their business. It looked like India was in total control of their inning. They knew what they were doing. And New Zealand didn't look as much in control in first 10 overs. That was the reason why they were struggling. And obviously, if you look at New Zealand's batting lineup, also there isn't enough firepower which we're talking about in this T20 format. You have Finn Allen and Glenn Phillips. Conway plays in a certain way. Williamson plays in a certain way. Daryl Mitchell is someone who can hit the ball, but he also needs time to start get going. So I think for New Zealand to make a comeback into the series, I think it's Finn Allen and Glenn Phillips are important cogs in the wheel.
I also feel that when I look at that batting, they are a little light on the batting. I think in many ways, after Daryl Mitchell, you have a Neesham who generally finishes innings well, but to give him 8-9 overs is not his strength. So they might have to bring in a Michael Bracewell who bowls a bit of off spin and he can tonk a ball. I think he's the kind of player that they will need to be infused into the 11, because if if you want to compete against India and if you're chasing tall scores, if you want to set a big score, I think you need to have some luxury with the batting as well. And they need to look at bringing in a Michael Bracewell, instead of whom will be the question, but that's a question they can best answer. But they will need to bat a little deeper. Otherwise, they're expecting a lot from the top 4 batters.
We will, of course, look ahead to what possible changes can come. But just to finish off on this game, Hardik Pandya at the end, obviously, a couple of key things that he mentioned. Bowling did well. It was about being aggressive in the mindset. Doesn't mean taking a wicket every ball, but being aggressive with the ball is important. That was point number 1. Point number 2, he said he feels that having someone who bats to chip in with the ball is important, obviously referring to a Deepak Hooda. So it was a conscious effort on his part to make sure those opportunities are given, and in Deepak Hooda's case, taken.
Yeah, absolutely. As I said, someone has the ability to bowl. The only way you can find that out by giving him those overs in games, in international games, and that's exactly what Hardik Pandya did it for Deepak Hooda. And we know that Deepak Hooda got into this World Cup squad because of the ability to bowl, but he did not bowl in the single game where he played. It was not needed, but you got to give him some overs to see whether he's good enough to give you those couple of overs or at least 1 over. So I think Indian think tank is on a right path at this point of time. Thinking aggressive, taking wickets is something which is so important in T20 format. And again, I think it's great to see we are going ahead, thinking ahead.
Well, looking ahead to game number 3, which is technically game number 2, with the first one washed out, we go to another gorgeous part of New Zealand, McLean Park in Napier for the 3rd T20 International. And at the end of game number 2, Hardik Pandya, when asked about possible changes, was non-committal about it. He said, well, I'd like to give everyone in the squad a chance, but it's just one more game, so it's a bit tough. So he's playing his cards close to his chest. For obvious reasons. With just 2 games, you can't give everyone a chance. But what he's probably opened up is there could be 1 or 2 places where he's felt, okay, you've had enough of a run. Let me see where I can look.
Look, the only player I think that they can replace right now is Surya Kumar Yadav. If they want to give him a break and then probably bring him for the ODIs, because the rest of them have just come in, and if you just got to give them 1 game, I think it's unfair to everybody. You can bring in a Samson. I think he'll be well suited to these conditions because he likes playing fast bowling. He's a good player of short of length bowling. So I'd love to see a Sanju Samson instead of Surya Kumar Yadav for next game. But you also have to understand Hardik Pandya's point of view. He is a newly appointed captain. He would like to win every game that he captains, and he wants to put his best side in front and make sure his ability to captain comes flying through in many ways. Because I know ideally we would like to chop and change a bit, but as players, you also want that sense of security and feeling that the captain is backing you. And that's what he showed with Deepak Hooda. He both of them hail from Baroda. They played a lot of cricket together. And so he brought him on at a time, like Parthiv said, where it was more suited for him to bowl. He was, in a way, slightly facing a challenge because Darryl Mitchell and Williams, looking to go, but he didn't give any bad ball. He bowled a good spell at that stage. Only got 1 wicket, but got rewarded thereafter when he came back in the 19th over. So I don't see any changes in this 11. I think they'll pretty much play the same 11. If at all they should change, I just feel Surya Kumar should be the one just resting a bit, because I think the world has seen a lot of him right now, and give an opportunity to Sanju.
Talk about shock value when he said that. I was expecting every other player in the squad, and I think between DK and the New Zealand bowlers, they'd all agree.
Yeah, everyone.
Give him a break.
Nobody wants to bowl to Surya Kumar Yadav at this point of time for sure. But yeah, I mean, that's a fair call. We know what he can do, and he has been playing really well since for almost a year now. Yeah, I mean, that's something which India can look into. And then there's another change which I would like to see is I would like to see Umran Malik having a go at New Zealand batters. They are a quality side. Maybe Bhuvneshwar, just like Surya Kumar Yadav, Bhuvneshwar Kumar has been playing a lot of T20 cricket. We know what Bhuvi can do. Other question is, do you see Bhuvneshwar Kumar playing 2024 T20 World Cup? I know there is quality, but do you see him playing in 2024 World Cup? So if we are trying to build a team for that World Cup, I think this is probably a right time, a right step to take. So maybe I would like to see Umran Malik getting a game as well.
Fair point. 2 key names in there: Sanju Samson, Umran Malik. Will they get in? And if so, can they? At whose expense will they get in? When we talk about New Zealand, well, they have a few things to think about as well. Will they make that one change that we advocated, which was, of course, trying to think of maybe getting in, as you can see there, Michael Bracewell, who can bat a bit, gives them something with the ball. DK, whose place does he take for you?
I have a feeling that they have to let go of Ish Sodhi, because I think Mitchell Saltner gives them a lot with the ball, and the fact when I say you need to bat deep, only if you bring in Bracewell in place of Sodhi will they be able to bat till 8, which is the length of the batting that I'm talking about. Just the fact that with India's middle order and the place where Ish Sodhi comes to bowl, they're all taking him down right now. They're very comfortable playing a Sodhi, and hence I would like to see Bracewell in place of Sodhi. He might not give you as much with the ball like a Sodhi does, but he'll give you a lot more with the bat. That's the only call that they could make.
Yeah, it's only a 13-member squad, unlike India. So it's just Blair Tickner, the only other name in that squad.
So there's not many to choose from, definitely, and then they look like they're a bit short in their batting for sure, and that could be the reason why they've been conservative in their approach in start of the innings, because they know that they don't have that much of depth, so that's why they don't take as many chances. But yeah, if you can get an all-rounder who can bat a bit, so that just gives you that kind of a luxury at the top of the order that if we get out early, we still have options, someone who can hold their inning around. So yeah, I think that could be in place of Ish Sodhi. So in a way, yes, copy paste of what Dinesh Karthik has said.
Well, of course, once the series is complete, India will want, I know it's not 3 matches, but even a 2-0 will technically be a whitewash as far as the series is concerned. They've won 5-0 in the past. I think it'll be important, as you said, no matter what, maybe the odd change, but Hardik Pandya's number one objective will be win every game, and in this case, it would be a whitewash if he does.
Absolutely. I think we've been 3-0, 5-0, and why not a 2-0? I think, as I said, it just shows the strength of Indian team. In bilaterals, we are fabulous team, and generally teams find it hard to compete against us, and that's the truth. And, Hardik's first stint at a full series in captaining. Yes, he did Ireland, but this gives him another opportunity. He's led really well today as well. So it augurs well. Everything looks very ominous and good for the moment, and it'll be great to see another 2-0 whitewash.
Yep. If you had to sort of jump into the other camp briefly and give an advice to New Zealand, knowing how strong India are at the moment, how do they make it 1-1?
I think they'll have to be aggressive, like what Hardik said, they have to be aggressive with their mainly batting and try and get bat first. That's something which changes. Yeah, I know teams like to chase in T20 format, but runs on the board actually helps a lot, especially when you are not winning games. So I think from New Zealand's point of view, they will have to be slightly aggressive and maybe show more intent against Indian bowlers. Otherwise, I think they will lag behind.
All right, one from both of you. Smart pick, player to watch out for game number 3. Suryakumar doesn't count.
Suryakumar, Ishan Kishan. I thought he had a wonderful Mushtaq Ali trophy where he scored 100. Here also he looked good, though he didn't get as many runs. He did get a start. So I think Ishan Kishan is the one I think look after.
For me, I would love to see Shreyas Iyer do well. I think he was batting till he was he was there at the crease. So it'll be very nice to see what he can come up against. And from New Zealand, I'm very keen to see Finn Allen. I think he's a very vital cog in their team, and if he comes good, the whole batting will look a lot different.
Yep, not a coincidence that 2 out of 3 people mentioned were in fact wicket keepers. But that's okay. We'll look out for all the players on the team as we look forward to McLean Park in Napier for game number 3. We of course have a small matter of the joy factor question to resolve, and let's remind you of what the question was that we posed to you at the start of the show. Which cricketer with an international career spanning almost 2 decades retired in 2006 from Tests but came back to play just 1 Test in 2010, that too as captain? I suspect it might have been, let me see, was it Lee Jamon? It wasn't. Okay.
No, it can't be Lee Jamon.
Yeah, well, wrong era. I was just throwing something out there because just come back as captain, that's the only thing that came to mind. What is the answer? And Shahid Afridi, there you go. Yeah, retired from Test matches. You had to see someone who continued.
He had to mention how many times did he retire. It's not the only one he was retired. Which comeback was it that in 2010, 4th, 5th?
That would be too big a clue, Joy. I wasn't giving that away. So Shahid Afridi, who picked up that Shahid Afridi question, was it in 1 try? Was it in 5 tries? But yeah, it had to be a regular, very, very much of a regular. I hadn't heard from him in a while. So Parth, we thought you'd disappeared. You haven't. You're back.
Where is Tanay? Where is that? Tanmoy Chakrabarti.
He probably got it 2 seconds after Parth did.
Yeah, because
and jump on Twitter. And if that's the case, you'll see about 5 tweets from Tanmoy telling us that our calculations were all wrong, that Parth should not be the winner. But we've still mentioned his name anyway. That's how it goes if you're a regular here. Well, that's all we have. 2 games done. Only 1 was actually played. India 1 up in the series, 1 to play in the T20 internationals before we move on to the longer format of white ball cricket. For now, as we look ahead to Napier From this game in Mount Manganui, from Dinesh Karthik, Parthiv Patel and myself, that's all we have on Cricbuzz Live.